Hi again. It's Samuel Andrews' Christianity and Anti-Christianity and their final conflict. He's in the chapter, The Teaching of the Revelation. He's introduced the thought that, this is how he puts it. As to the apostasy, we find two symbols of the church that claim our attention, that of the woman and that of Babylon. And as to the Antichrist, the symbol of the beast. Rightly understanding these three symbols, the woman, Babylon, and the beast, we have all we now seek. And last time we dealt with the symbol of the woman as bride in Revelation. Now we're dealing with the symbol of Babylon, the city. He says Babylon, a city, symbolizes the church not in its immediate vital relation to its head, his body, or as his espoused wife, but as an organized institution, a polity with laws, ordinances, and offices, and thus able to be brought into relations with civil governments, the visible as distinguished from the invisible church, and known to the world as the sphere of Christ's rule. As in every well-ordered city, justice, equity, and peace prevail, so above all in the church, the heavenly city. Here all God's statutes and ordinances are kept, all his servants are in their places and fulfill their duties, and his children dwell together in righteousness and love. Of such holy order and peace, the heavenly Jerusalem is the symbol. Sacred history presents Babylon under two aspects. First, a city of confusion, Babel, where no one understood another's speech. Secondly, as the city where the covenant people were held in captivity. In the first, we see symbolized the church is divided into many sects and parties, holding little or no communion with one another, without unity of belief or of purpose or of action. This confusion of religious speech is seen in the chaotic period of the 2nd and 3rd centuries, and most clearly since the Reformation, but has marked in large degree the whole history of the church, and will, we may believe, reach its culmination just at its close, when the term Babel will have its fullest application. The second aspect in which the historical Babylon is presented is as that city to which God removed his people as a punishment for their disobedience. He had chosen for them a place where he would dwell, his holy city, and there ordered the building of his temple, where only his appointed worship could be offered. But they had profaned his sanctuary, and he gave city and temple up to destruction. In Babylon must his people dwell, till they have been brought to repentance and have been made to pray earnestly for deliverance. Till this hour should come, they must pray for the peace of Babylon and be submissive to the powers over them, in eerie references. Jeremiah 29, verse 7. Thus the city could be the symbol of a condition in which the church, having lost her highest ministers and unable to offer worship in its appointed fullness, came into a relation of dependence upon secular powers. Very early she entered into an alliance with the Roman state for her protection and help, and this alliance has continued in various forms under all rulers succeeding the emperors. Thus has arisen that great structure, both ecclesiastical and civil, sacred and secular, which we call Christendom. Although Christendom embraces the nations which as such profess the Christian faith, and is ruled by those who bear Christ's name, yet the relation between them and the church is one contrary to the appointment of God, who has set his Son to be her head and sole ruler. Christ indeed is the King of kings as well as head of the church, yet he would not have these two spheres of his rule to be confounded. His rulers in the state may not interfere with his rulers in the church. Each has its defined border over which it may not pass. The state may not appoint priests or dictate their teaching or action, or the church control the state in its legitimate functions. It is not necessary to follow in detail the union of church and state since the time of Constantine. In general, it may be said that for the protection and help of the state, the church has assented to a measure of secular control over her, both as to her polity and administration, and in a degree also to her doctrine, to control wholly incompatible, a control wholly incompatible with the prerogatives of her head. Her whole history shows a continued struggle between the ecclesiastical and civil rulers, the church attempting to rule the state and the state to rule the church, priests striving to be princes, and princes exercising the functions of priests. The right of interference in spiritual matters once obtained, secular rulers have attempted to exercise it more and more, attempts which have often been strenuously, sometimes successfully, resisted. Each party has sought to make use of the other for the accomplishment of its own special ends. With the sword of the magistrate would the church put down all religious dissent, and with the sanctions of the church would the state justify its acts of cruelty and oppression. Next time he talks about the application of the symbol of Babylon is not to be limited to the Church of Rome. I'll put in a link to Jacques Ellul's very insightful comments on the subversion of Christianity after the time of Constantine. There's 5 videos here, so the first one's on your screen, and also the LO playlist of which these 5 videos are a part. See you next time.